Wagwan, are you there? What's good? And you know who this is, baby. The number one podcast in America, dedicated to all you kings and queens of color, homies and homettes, shotters, woo gals, G-boys, and charges. The one and only Jerk Jollof and Collard Greens podcast.
Wagwan, are you there? What's good? And welcome to the Jerk Jollof and Collard Greens podcast. I'm your host, Glenn, aka G Ransom, the humble extrovert. And with me, I have none other than my brothers in bond, starting with Mr. Oye D-Ron.
What it do? D-Black in the building.
All right. Next, we have the franchise Francis.
It's goody.
All right. We have Dre.
You.
And of course, we have Chunky.
What's
Pause there. Brief pause
So
there.
dramatic.
And on today's episode, we're starting our Let's Be Real series. And to start it off proper, we felt this would be probably one of the hottest topics to discuss. And that is the role of men in relationships and dating. We're going to take a look at some coin terms like red pill, simps, and something that we've made up along the way, based on its popularity, the Kevin Samuels effect. So as a part of this discussion, we'll be taking a look at exploring gender roles and various social stigmas associated with them. And considering that we have an all-male panel, we'll definitely be taking a deep dive on some of these terms or colloquials such as red pill simping and Kevin Samuels, which is something that we just came up with. And we're also going to come in and try to speak on behalf of some of the challenges that women are subjected to in relationships as a result of our gender roles. So to kick this off, or kick the episode off proper, of course, we have to do our wake up, which consists of our Black business shout out. And this shout out goes to the Black Pack Co. You can find them at the blackpackco.myshopify.com. And I know, Dre, you actually own a pack of these cards. You could give us a little insight on as far as, the cards and what's make them unique and special, other than the fact that they're Black owned.
Oh, I didn't realize that I was muted the whole time. Sorry about that.
You need to cut that.
Yeah. So I'm back. You can finally hear me. But no, I really this company they initially started with doing like a Martin trivia game. So if there's anyone who's really crazy about the TV show Martin, I will highly suggest you go to their website. They have a trivia game. But the cards that I bought are these they're kind of like these gold plated like waterproof cards. So it's a pretty cool little idea. And so Black owned company. The cards came when they were supposed to come. So it was a really good experience. I would definitely recommend.
Okay.
Definitely recommend them.
So no tardiness on the cards. That's what's up. I'm not like a big spades player at all. I mean, I'm probably like the worst description of a Black person, right? Like I don't play ball, don't play spades.
You don't fit none of the stereotypes whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't fit any of the stigmas, but definitely I've seen.
But you do like
cards.
chicken. You do like fried chicken, so don't lie.
I do love me a fried chicken.
But with ketchup though, so I don't know.
With ketchup. First of all,
money.
Ketchup. Sorry to put you on blast like that, but ketchup.
What's wrong with ketchup on chicken? Like that's how we do it.
You don't disrespect fried chicken like that. What's wrong with you?
You put
there's hot sauce or nothing, man. What you doing?
No, honey on fried chicken.
What is wrong with all of you? You don't put nothing on it.
That's sweet.
If it's good fried chicken, you eat it as is.
Wow, that's a lot.
Wait, hold on.
That's going too far.
Actually, I have a funny. I know this has nothing to do with anything. It's a real tangent, but just because we mentioned fried chicken, I have a funny fried chicken story.
Oh boy.
All right. Chunky, I have your blessings to tell the story, right? All right, don't worry about it.
It's about to be good.
He gave me his blessings. Don't worry about it. He gave me his blessings. He ain't say nothing, but he gave me his blessing. So funny thing, right? So every time like I would go to Chunky's grandma's house, she would always make fried chicken for both of us. Like, she'll make something to eat for both of us, right? But Chunky was just he just really loved her fried chicken more than anything. And one time, I mean, she just really loved me. She's like, Deron, and gets so excited every time she saw me. And she made fried chicken, and it was like at least like 40 pieces. Chunky he ate like 20 already, mind you. So there's like another 20 still sitting. And then she gave me, mind you, he ate 20. Again, 40 pieces. He ate 20 already. And she gave me like 15. And Chunky had like 5. Chunky ate his 5 real quick. And he looked at me sideways. Before I could even start eating the fried chicken, it was like, "You gonna eat that fried chicken, son?" And I was like,
Damn.
"Yeah." He like, "You gonna eat that fried chicken, son?" And I was like,
Damn.
"Nah, I'm not gonna eat this fried chicken."
Probably gave you the breast too.
And I gave him the breast.
She made all wings. Didn't you have like a piece or two? I remember you had some, and I think she gave you more than me, and that's what agitated me.
No, but yeah, she gave me. But here's the thing: she gave me more than you after you already had more than enough share. So it wasn't like an equal distribution. It wasn't equal distribution. You already had you had your pieces, but he still looked at me sideways over some fried chicken. So
And she
So the
looked at him.
food, the chicken on your plate, he asked you, were you gonna eat it?
I went starving that night. Okay, so just,
Yeah.
He
And
wasn't
I know
going to eat it. No.
He don't like to starve, bro. He will eat everything and anything.
all right, calm down, bro.
No, yo, he would eat like leftover Chinese from like a week, and I'm like, bro, you gonna eat that?
Bro, first of all, I'm not a super. First of all, when I was younger, I was not like a super duper picky eater, but my palate has evolved. You know, shout out to the wife. But back in the day, I wasn't really picky with what I ate.
Like, what does that mean?
What you mean?
Your palate has evolved. Shout out to wife.
Nah, because because I mean, the wife she's introduced me to the finer things. Like the Thais and then the the sushis and
The
all
Jamaican food.
Yeah, and all the other little fancy things she knows how to make.
But the time you came to my apartment and you took the chicken breast out the refrigerator, threw it on the grill and just ate it as is and just walked out.
No, I swear you're making me sound like a carnival, like just a straight up.
No seasoning, no nothing, just straight out.
Bro,
Ripped
this
it
man
out.
will eat anything.
No
First of all,
seasoning.
I believe
No seasoning.
Eating first of all should always be for the purpose of survival. First.
Wow. We
So-
going there?
That's
We
a
going
long
there?
shot, bro.
Oh man.
That's where we going,
How you
cuz.
survived off of raw chicken.
That's
and
right.
I'm
little
saying
Chinese.
no, but like hear me out, because I think, like I said, if you don't eat, you die, right? So eating should be for survival first, and then you can add all the flavors and preferences and stuff like that. But I do feel like people are too picky when it comes to food in general. But
Me especially. But nah,
Because
bro,
I'm trying to get scientific with that, but I mean, whatever works for you, cuz.
anyway,
no,
I'm done.
no food will go wasted in the Yadalakan household. We'll say that.
I mean, that's in the African home too. Like, like in African homes, you make food for actually a week is not that bad actually, because African homes you make a bunch of food that would last for like 5 to 7 days, and you
Yeah,
go
true.
back and just kind of keep going back for more and eat. So,
Yeah.
so it's not that bad because I got you.
That's
back on it.
homemade though, not African food. We're talking about, Chin's Chinese, all the MSG and all that combined. You don't really know what's in that. We're
Lots of
talking
lying,
about,
bro. I don't buy
we're
it.
talking about Lucky Chinese down the block with the Lucy's and the
It was
$1
still delicious. I mean, he survived, right?
First of all, we're talking no. Don't listen to anything that comes from Selassie, because Selassie's literally like the pickiest eater in history.
Yo,
Mind you, you know how mind you, everybody like it, or you only eat from my mom's, whatever. He'll be looking at his mom up and down, like, did you you made this
So
right?
how was it
What
in
season is
Japan?
with
How
it?
was it when you guys went to Japan then?
oh nah, I'm a foodie though. You know what I mean? Like I'm down for a new experience, new stuff. You know what I mean? Like I put
Okay.
people onto food, but yeah, I can be picky. Like if I when I go to McDonald's, when I used to go, I would have to inspect my burger before I ate it. I would have to open it up. All right, the patty's there, the lettuce is there, the tomatoes there.
I mean, this is getting a burger from somewhere in Irvington. So I would think you'd have to.
Actually, I don't eat in Irvington. Believe
You
it or not.
don't?
I do not eat from Irvington, no,
Oh,
because
why
I'm
not?
afraid of diarrhea. Like I hate a hurt belly and I hate constipation. I hate stomach viruses. So like I'm very picky with my food. Yes.
Yo, it'd be funny because you take Selassie to like a barbecue or something, or any kind of event where there's food, and if he doesn't know anyone there, he instantly becomes super apprehensive of everything he's about to eat. Like he'll be looking at the food and he'll be looking at you like, I don't know.
That's
I'll
funny.
never forget that one day in Rutgers, man, when y'all had the homegirl cooking up a feast for y'all. I'm like, damn, these dudes living like kings and shit. Meanwhile, I'm over here at Willie P eating ramen noodles, mac and cheese, and pizza on my Pioneer points. And this chick was like, had the raw chicken in the sink. And I'm like, hold up. She got a whole raw chicken in a naked sink, like a whole naked chicken in the sink, seasoning up in the sink. I'm like, yo, you wash dishes in that sink. You probably spit in that sink. You probably do other things in that sink. And y'all gonna expect me to eat this? So I remember when that chicken came out, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here.
Because I'm straight.
How do you know? How do you know she didn't clean the like sink before? Because she could have sanitized the sink before, right?
He ain't see her do it, so
I ain't see her do it. All I saw was raw butt booty naked chicken in the sink.
Why do you describe the chicken like that? I don't understand. Like, what?
Mr. Raw naked chicken.
But
if you say raw chicken, people get it, and you just like, yo, that chicken was raw. It was naked.
It was raw. Cold. It was sad. It was a sad piece of chicken.
Like you should make chicken with pants on. Like what?
All that cross contamination got in there, and I'm like, I remember what happened though. That chicken came out, I saw a little bit of blood on it. I'm like, I'm good, I don't want it. She's like, you don't want my chicken? She got offended. I was like, you know, real talk, I value my life. I do not want your chicken. Your booty.
Selassie starved that day.
But you know what happened to these greedy motherfuckers? They had stomach viruses and diarrhea the next day. So I was like,
did you?
Yeah,
is that true?
I don't
know.
know.
His belly was so
remember
up.
Yo, is that true, bro?
That's
That's
funny, bro.
Yo, I will not. I'm not gonna speak to that.
I'm not confirming that story.
It
may be true or false, but
not those allegations.
That is
I
funny.
don't remember that at all.
I was gonna ask, is who made it? But I guess you're being very.
I think. I mean,
we had a name for her.
Nice for us, but she really shouldn't have been cooking. She wasn't. She was trying to impress us, but she couldn't cook.
Like, ta-ta, stomach virus, I'll see you another day. I'm like, but I have a question for y'all, though, real talk. All right, so how do you guys feel? And I think this also plays into the topic as far as like gender roles and sometimes even like double standards, which we'll somewhat get into. I think we can't avoid that talking about this in particular. But if you found out that your girl or your wifey or, you know, your boo, your queen, was interacting with someone on social media that she used to go out with, I guess before you guys started dating, would you allow that, or would you feel any way about that? Like you saw, okay, it was to the point where he was like, let's say it's a guy, you know, he's actually writing on her pictures, her posts, commenting, throwing hearts and smileys and heart eyes and all that other jive. And you know, would you guys feel any way about that? Or because it, you know, you're in a relationship with that person now, and this was some old news, it doesn't matter?
But before I answer, is this coming from personal experience?
No, it's just a general.
Okay. I'm like, oh man, whose account do we got to ride on? Because somebody dropping hearts under your woman's photos. You know,
show y'all some examples right here.
The digital gangsters. You know,
we handle this situation.
We a team. So just know if you put in heart emojis underneath any one of our women friends photos, we riding on you.
For sure.
100%.
So I guess we already know how Drake.
I mean, I've been with my wife for now over 10 years. I'm not really particularly worried about it. I would say I would probably more make sure that she doesn't feel uncomfortable about it. I think guys are going to be guys, and I think they are going to say stuff. Every once in a while, my wife will send me a funny DM that some guy sends her or whatever. It doesn't make me mad. I'm pretty secure in my relationship with her. I think as long as they're being respectful, I don't mind it. But maybe when we first started dating, maybe I would have felt like, you know, some type of way about it. But now, you know, we're married. We've been together so long. We share bank accounts and all, you know what I mean? Like at this point now, like it would be ridiculous, but maybe early on, I think I would probably, we definitely were having like those type of jealousy things. I think I probably would have had an issue with it. early on.
But is it jealousy or could it be like a legit issue?
I think we probably don't want to admit it. I think it's a jealousy thing. I totally think, at least just speaking for I won't even speak for all men. I guess you guys will speak up here, but I think there is deep down some type of a jealousy thing where either jealousy or maybe if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, maybe if you cheating too, maybe you think, also doing it as well. I know that that's the case of some people, but I would say that when I did exhibit that type of behavior, I definitely think it was like a insecure / jealousy thing that I didn't get past.
That's funny too, because for me, it's funny because it's not necessarily like a jealousy thing. I don't know if it's because I'm African or whatever, but I don't know. I'm naturally very territorial, and I think it's not necessarily. Actually, let me take out the African part because I feel like as men in general, we're territorial, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And we don't like other men stepping in, in our yard. Like, this is my space. This is my domain. You respect my space. I respect your space. Now, with our significant others, they are not possessions. I'm not trying to say that, but they are still extensions of us and therefore our space. You know what I mean? So me personally, I just don't really, that's why I don't like, that's another reason why I'm not big on social media or anything like that, just because like I wouldn't want it to be perceived as a jealousy thing when it's a fact of just like I just like my space respected, you know what I mean? I just like my domain respected. But I don't know, I trust my chick, so I don't really have that type of kind of quarrel where I have to worry about that. And we have like I don't know, like Selassie seen us, together. My whole family didn't know how we are. Like I'm not the type of guy that's gonna pretend like if I see another beautiful woman or like, all right, it's no secret I'm a man. If I see a girl with, beautiful, well-structured,
Yamage.
I'm gonna point that out. I'm gonna be like, wow. I'm like, it'll be me and my shorty. I'm like, wow, babe, you see those yams over there? And she's like, wow, those are some great yams. And then my girl, and then it's also kind of great on the other side because if I miss some yams, my girl will point them out. Wow, babe, did you see those yams over there? And I'm like, no, I didn't see those yams over there. Those are some great yams too.
Yam hunters. I want to have like you heard about like the gnomes in front of people's homes, like the blue gnome and the red gnome. You ever heard about that?
I don't know gnomes. I just
well,
know
the gnomes are symbols for swingers. So if you see your home,
stop it.
Wow.
Wait, the colors mean stuff?
Now the conversation changed real quick.
And the red ones, I forgot exactly the colors. Now anybody on the internet knows this. Drop us.
I didn't know this.
I did not know this.
I did not know this.
Don't say Francis got a whole lawn full of gnomes. You don't even know.
Trying to break these up right now.
I did not know this, bro.
Anyway, so the main thing I'm just trying to say is like, like because of the fact, like I don't know, I'm honest with myself, I would be uncomfortable with it, but not for the reason of like jealousy. You know what I mean? I just don't like people infringing on, what I believe is my space or my domain. Like if it's my family, like even if it was my sisters, I would still feel some kind of way about it, right? And mind you, I mean, I love my sisters. I'm not interacting romantically with my sisters. God forbid any craziness. Don't assume no craziness on here. Don't assume no craziness. But it's still my space. So that's why I kind of stay out of that because I know, like, men will always be men. They always want to slide in and try to shoot their shot and whatever, and like I trust my girl, I trust my sisters, I trust like all the women, significant women in my life to be of a certain caliber and to carry themselves in a certain way that, it's not going to be an issue. So.
But you also don't have social media.
Yeah, but and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why, but that's why I don't have social media because I don't want to put myself in that frame of space where I have to think about those things. Yo, it's funny that you bring that up. But like, so one thing about me is I'm big on, I believe that, first of all, like Dre said, like people are jealous and we want to pretend like we're not, or whatever. Like we all have insecurities. That's who we are as human beings. We all have weaknesses and stuff like that. And I'm very honest with myself with what my weaknesses are. And because I'm honest with myself with what my weaknesses are, I work around those things. So because I know if I see some dude kind of messaging my girl or something like that, I'm gonna feel uncomfortable with that. So, and I know, but even though I feel uncomfortable with it, I know my girl's not gonna be the one that's doing anything crazy, but I'm still gonna feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And to remove that area of uncomfortability, let me not be in social media and worrying about her DMs and who's messaging who, and I can just stay out of that space completely. So
does that make you blissfully ignorant, or is it just like is that really just showing how much you actually believe that your partner is, upholds the same level of fidelity as you do?
I mean, I think, well, I know so the trust will always there. So I think it's has something to do with trying to be ignorant. I'm not necessarily being ignorant to it, because I do know that those things happen. So I don't know. I guess it's like out of sight, out of mind type. Like, just stay away from it and I don't gotta worry about it.
Yeah, I think that's really dope that you have that like level of understanding in yourself, because I think I'll just speak from people I know, right? I know men who don't have that level of understanding, and like, I'm not jealous, I'm secure, and it's like, no, you definitely are jealous, or you're insecure about something, and that's okay. But like, I think it's really dope that like you know that you would be looking at stuff and you wouldn't like it, and as a result you don't. So I think that's a really really powerful, smart thing that I think more people should do. You should kind of know yourself in those situations.
How about you, Franchise?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I really won't care. I mean, I think we both, me and my wife, we are still like, our old relationship ended in a good, I guess, in a positive way. So we still have a relationship with our exes. So, but I think we both have one person from each side that we know, if we know they still have those conversations with them, we'll feel some type of way. So I think there's only one person on my side that if I know she's engaging with, I'll feel some type of way. And this one person on my end, she knows I'm engaging with, she'll feel some type of way. But outside
man, Bingo, Malcolm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he like a Ghanaian guy or something? Is he like someone like
No, actually, it's obviously it's actually not. It's not even somebody she even like dated. It was just like but I knew like they interacted in the past before we got together. So, I just didn't want to like have it put in my face. So I guess it's maybe insecurities as well, but we both know that, and we both usually stay away from it. So but I think hard eyes on another woman's page is actually too much. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You should have a little bit more respect for yourself, bro. Like, it's just take it, man. You just step away.
Too much dip on your chip.
Yeah, like just go find your own wife, bro, or your own shorty or side piece, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you're looking for.
Or link up with Franchise after 8.
What are you talking about?
Look for the blue gnome. Look for the blue gnome.
What y'all talking about? I don't know. Gnomes. Yo, Glenn, this is up your alley. You need to teach me. I don't know. This is all you.
No, don't encourage him to teach us this.
Glenn is driving around northern New Jersey, stopping at people's houses with gnomes out front.
I mean, Glenn is the one. Man, come on, man. Glenn is the one. He knows everything, man.
Now you're gonna be driving through neighborhoods, sizing up everybody. Oh my God.
Nudie was nasty.
House right there.
Anything sexual related, just ask Glenn, and I'm guaranteed you 95% of the time he probably has the answer for you.
I got you. So
I know you do.
So let's get into it then. All right, so I guess you could kind of explain that behavior as simping.
Over.
Oh wait, yeah, Chunky, my bad. Let's go. What's your take on that?
I just don't exist. It's okay. Next topic.
It's been so quiet. Nah, go ahead.
I've just been listening. It's just like everyone has an interesting take, and it's like, yeah, as a man, like I would feel insecure. I would feel some type of way, but I have to trust my wife. So if my wife is getting hit with DMs and she puts it down and she's like, nah, like I'm good, and it comes back to me, then it's just like, all right, I'm going to handle it the way I handle it. It's like next time you send something, I'm gonna f you up. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna fucking hurt you straight up. Like I don't play that game. And you can take it as an idle threat. It's good for me because your guard's gonna be down when I whoop that ass. But it's just like
being a dude. I should clarify.
But to me, it's just like
all these women like, God damn, what the hell?
No, what my wife says, it's like she's doing what she's supposed to do. And you look at it in the sense like, what I look at is just like, what ground am I not covering, right? What am I not giving her? If the dude's like lifting, he can bench press 500 pounds. I'm going to bench press 505. He's squatting 750. I'm going to squat 760. And it's just covering that ground. It's like, what am I missing? Like, what am I not doing? Let me be there for her. And yeah, it's insecurity sometimes, but at the same time, it's like, I want to provide my wife everything. And that's mentally, physically, and emotionally. So just covering that, to me, it just is what it is. Like, yeah, some dude does something crazy. Yeah, you have your internet gangsters on there. I'm not an internet gangster by far. Just don't see me in the street. This is what I'm saying.
So I guess looking at the role of men, I mean, I think the idea is that we want to be everything to our partners, right? And I guess revisiting that, but we take a look at some of the terms used today in the manosphere. That's not the same understanding somewhat. Like, for instance, simping. And we'll just define that for anyone that doesn't know. Simping is an internet slang term describing a person who performs excessive sympathy and attention towards another person, sometimes in pursuit of a sexual or intimate relationship, or sometimes just doing way too much for the person that you like. And I guess, can you speak from any of your experiences? Have you ever simped for some cheeks? Or do you feel that the perception of being a responsible man is sometimes even confused as simping? Like, you always get the idea that men are supposed to be stoic, tough, rough, and all the above, and we show our wives a little attention, and suddenly we're simps. Like, what's your guys' take on that today?
It's actually funny that you bring it up, because so prior to like maybe like a few months ago, like I didn't even really know what a simp was. It was actually my wife's younger sister and her mom that, like, they the head is gonna be mad, but that they were kind of clowning me about it, because they was like, they're like, "Oh, do you love your wife?" I was like, "Yeah, I love my wife," and whatever. It was like, "Oh, you're such a simp." I was like, "What's a simp?" They was like, "Oh, because you're so like you're so much emotionally connected and inclined, and you'll do whatever it takes to make her happy and all this, whatever." And I was like, I mean, if that's what makes me a simp, then I'll be a simp. Cool, not a problem. And I feel like that we're kind of like creating this, like this. So from my back to research. So just from my research of simp, right? Let me back up a little bit. My research of simp is supposed to be like a male empowerment, right? So men supposed to use it to kind of like check each other, so don't go chasing after girls and whatever, and then be caught up in like in like sexualizing women and thinking that you're gonna get something out of them when you're not, and you're giving them gifts even though they're not interested. Like, that's kind of like a man checking situation. But then now it's kind of evolved, in my opinion, to where it's like you show a woman any type of affection, you do anything for her, you open the door, you pay for the bill, you know what I mean? You help her with some chores or whatever. Oh, you a simp. And I feel like, why is it gotta be like, it's like being a gentleman is a simp, straight up. That's how it comes off to me. So and again, that's why I said, if being a gentleman is a simp, then I'll gladly be a simp. Sure, I'll simp for my wife all day.
Yeah, I think it's like I think it's impossible to be a simp to your wife, just me personally. That's your wife, right? Like, you should love your wife.
No, but like I know. You a simp, though.
Like, yeah, I know. It's the craziest thing I think I've heard someone. I've heard people use it when it's like dating or pre-official relationship where that applies. But yeah, I personally don't think it's possible to be a simp for your wife personally. But yeah, that's one of those like toxic things that I think some people have, where it's like, if you let a woman know that you are interested in her and you like her, it's like, oh, you being a simp. It's just like, well, no, I'm just being honest, right? I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I think that word is used in both the wrong and right ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's always the extremes are clear, but it's like that stuff in the middle where people say someone's being a simp, and it's like, he just likes that woman, right? Like he just making it clear to her that he likes her, right? Like like I don't know, maybe he likes to buy people gifts, right? Like he bought her a gift. Like I don't know. It's one of those things where I think that's one of those terms that are used online just to blanket to dismiss men sometimes, and I don't know if that's always true, but
I mean, when is
hot
too
button.
much too much? When is like chasing somebody too much, and when is doing too much is doing
Yeah.
too much?
I think
When they
that's
played
also
you and they're not
subjective.
interested in you.
Yeah,
So
maybe
it's
that-
just like being, I call it like a traditional male, right? And that's being in a sense a simp. Like, okay, I want to open the door. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That's how I was brought up. That's how I was trained. That's how my mother raised me to be. So I really don't know any different. I'm not going to call, my wife a bitch or a hoe, no matter how bad the argument gets. It's just, I wouldn't want another man to say that to my mother, period. So I'm not going to do it to you. And the biggest thing I can tell all the females out there or whomever, or women, sorry, just that look at how a man treats his mother, right? And that's how he's going to treat you. Look at how someone treats their parents, and that's how they're going to treat you. So if they talk politely to their mother, they do everything they possibly can, like, I love my mom's, do anything for her, he's going to do anything for you because that's what he expects to be, right? So if you sit there and you cook and you're being called a simp because you're a man who has emotions and that you can express yourself like, oh, I'm mad, I'm just going to sit here and just have a frowny face. Like, hey, I'm upset about this, and this is the reason why. I'm having this emotional intelligence to explain to you why I am the way that I am. And I have to be receptive for that back to me. And we're all human beings. We make mistakes. If you're explaining something to me and I'm not getting it, I'm just not going to get it. And it's not because I don't care about you, I don't want to listen. It's because like I'm trying to process that, right? And with processing that, my objective is to do better tomorrow, to do better next month, to do better as the marriage carries on. And like I said, if that's being called simping, it's just like you got me up. Because it's just like that's what you're supposed to do. I'm treating you like an honorable person. It is my privilege to serve you as my wife. And if someone calls me a simp for that, kick rocks. Because it's like I have a good marriage and relationship, and I'm consistently trying to build. Just because you're up, don't come over here and fuck my shit up. Just like when another slide in the DM, don't fuck up my shit. I'm gonna feel some type of way. Because
some
it's
people
like,
just trying to test like how strong your shit is, especially when they see you're in a relationship. They're like,
Like,
bet,
all right,
watch
like,
this.
how strong is your back before I lift you up over my head and bang you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's not super violent, but I'm just gonna say what all or some aggressive men say, like, it's okay to feel some type of way. It's okay to have an emotion. This stereotype of men having to be this stoic individual, that's in the past. The more emotional a man is, the more aware he is of situations and what's going on, and the better he is going to be to you because he's in tune. You don't
Yeah.
get that a lot.
That's
And
maturity right there.
you
So-
can't, and you downplay it.
100%.
It makes him not want to do it.
Let me ask this question. So, like, particularly for people that are dating, like, I can't assume that everyone's
Yeah.
essentially found that person. You know what I mean? That they can
yeah.
go ahead and simp on with for the rest of their life. Once you get married, you signed
Oh,
on for
You
full
signed
time
off on that
simping. You signed up
You
for
did.
full time simping. Let's be real. Like, for at least if you want a healthy marriage for the most part, and then the definition of it can be taken a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you guys never heard, like, especially when coming into a relationship or dating, not to give away too much too soon? Because I kind of feel like that's where it comes as often as well,
Yeah.
because you could date someone and then you're spending money buying them gifts. You know, you're making yourself available all the time,
Exactly.
but yet they're not reciprocating it. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? And some people also need to see that you're not really interested in them, especially you notice with some women, they want to see that you're not really interested in them before they're interested in you. They kind of
Yeah.
want to feel like, okay, he's not doing everything for me. I kind of feel like when you put too much out there, you either get friend zoned or they're just not interested at all. Like, have you guys ever seen that example or heard of that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I probably have like just my way of when I was dating back in the day, right? I'll throw that disclaimer out there. Back in the day when I was dating, right before I met my wife, I personally just took dating as like, this is an opportunity to meet someone new, and I like to eat, similar to what Glenn was talking about being a foodie. I like to eat, and when I do go out to eat, I want to eat at a nice restaurant, right? I want to get a good meal or whatever. So if we're gonna go out on a date, we're gonna go to a nice restaurant, right? Like it maybe not white tablecloth, but you know what I mean. Like we're gonna go. I'm not gonna just go get dinner at like a whatever place.
You're gonna order the duck.
Yeah, we not going in and out for the first date, right? For all my California people, right? But maybe we're gonna go to some like really nice Italian restaurant in the city or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. So to some people that may be considered simping to go out to a nice restaurant on the first date and pay for it. But that's just personally how my dad was always just like, look, if you're going on a date, don't go on a date if you can't pay for it, right? So that was the one thing he always told me, right? So his whole thing was like, look, if you take a woman out on a date, like for one, you shouldn't be going on a date with someone who you don't want to pay for, right? Like that was his whole like thinking, like to me, or basically the way he taught me was just like, you don't go on a date with someone who isn't worthy of going on a date with you, right? So, or you don't go on a date where you can't pay for the meal, right? That was just his whole thing to me growing up, right? So I know everyone didn't have like that same type of mentality, but for me, that's what I was about, right? Like we're gonna go out, we're gonna spend time together, we're gonna have fun, whatever. I'm gonna pay for most of stuff, right? It's nice if you offer, well, let me get the tip or whatever, but that's just how I was like raised or whatever. I'm not knocking anyone for doing that, who doesn't do that. I know there's some people who are really big on like split everything down the middle or whatever. Like I think that's fine, but I know that that's not always a very popular that's not a very popular sentiment. But that's just,
I mean, it's what works for you, right?
Raised. Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. It's just like to each his own, correct? Yeah. So some people may want to split. Some people may have one person pay rather than another person. One person may be like, hey, I got this one, you get the next one. It's whatever works for you. And I guess for some of us on the podcast, I know for myself, like, yeah, I'm going to be responsible and pay for it, right? And my thing, I don't believe in like, I'm going to put my best self out there so I can attract somebody. I look at it like I'm going to put everything on the table about who I am, right? Either you like me up front or you don't. And I'd rather know that now instead of like a couple of months down the line. And that's just my theory about it. When I was in a dating game, it's just like, my wife loves me for who I am. Some days she calls me an some days she calls me a wonderful man. And that's just like, well, you knew what you were getting when we started dating, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to sit here and be a different person. I'm not going to pretend to care. I'm not going to pretend to understand something. Like if I don't get shit, I just say it like frankly, like I don't get it. Can you please like break it down to X's and O's for me? Like I'm an idiot sometimes when it comes down to certain things. I'm just ignorant. So I think when it comes down to dating, be who you are naturally, right? And you will find that right person. Sometimes it sucks having to go on multiple dates and not find the person that you want, or see someone like, oh, I really want this person. They're just not made for you. And that's okay. But be who you are all the time and it will work out for you at some point. And that's just my take on it.
So I think the problem is we're just too busy trying to impress other men. I guess other
outshow other men.
What'd you say?
You mean like outdo other men?
Yeah,
on both ways too, right? On both ways too, right? Like I'm the most savage. I don't pay for nothing. Like you simping, like it could be me. There's always those guys in that crew.
You split the bill?
Man,
you a simp? You ain't make her pay. You ain't make her
pay for the whole thing. You pay for the whole thing.
Exactly.
I paid and picked up the tip and got the popcorn. I'm sorry.
So what about you, Francis? You ever let a shorty go half on the bill or cover the tip? And some of them will actually offer, but I feel like sometimes it's a test. Exactly. Like if I pay for this bill, I ain't calling you back tomorrow.
I mean, back in my dating days, man, I always pay for everything. Even if I was dating you, like trying to get something, or we were just friends. Anytime I'm with my lady friends, I never have them pay. So, and for me, I don't snipping. For me, I don't look at it as like the way I look at it is really when you start going out of your way and kind of messing up your plan just to like become a yes man to what she wants. That's when I think like, okay, you doing a little too much. And there's a notion that they say like good man comes last. I don't believe that, but I think that's also like where that came from, because the good man always kind of like go out of their way, pay for everything, whatever she says you say yes to. You just kind of like try to make sure she's cool with you, she's happy with you, just so you can hopefully get lucky. She says like you want to come in after the night. It's like but but truly, just like I think it's tied back to confidence, like because because when I think back to when I was younger, to like growing up, I feel like the way I interacted with women, I was too nice. I feel like I was too nice. Sometimes, and I feel like you become you make yourself too easily accessible, and then you become like an option for them. So like, and that is some of like the negative to that, that we have to be mindful of.
And that will actually tear into the red pill portion of this, but I'll just throw my 2 cents out there. Like, I guess you gotta consider me a millennial, man. Like, I feel like if a woman is electing to offer to pay for a portion of the meal on our first date, I'm gonna let her pay for that portion. Because it's just like, to me, it's like, if you're what that's telling me about you as an individual is you're gonna say something and not mean it. So it's just like, I'd rather you come on the date with the intention that, okay, I was gonna pay for everything and you had that understanding, than to say that, yes, I'm gonna pay half, I'm willing to, just to be like, in reality, you don't want to, but it was just a test. And to me, it's just like, okay, how many other tests are you gonna put me in through throughout the course of this relationship?
Preach.
So, I like it's kind of like, I'm gonna put you to the test. I'm like, oh, word.
But I mean, I do.
I mean,
I really like when a woman do offer, but even though I was paying for all those bills, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I just thought it was the right thing to do, so I always paid it. But looking back now, like sometimes I should have made him pay because I was struggling still. But I was
but that's a testament to who you are as a man, right? So it's just like, I would say never take that back in an instance, right? You did what you thought was right, and that really builds to your character. So if they ain't pick you and you were an option, them. They missed out. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, you say hit him. You get. I mean, it's a hit and miss, right? So I mean, because you do meet girls who actually that is what they're looking for, and sometimes you look at girls who are just looking for a free lunch or free dinner. So it's just
I think we all here found the perfect woman and we're with them, and that's because we stood true to who we are characteristically and how we go on dates, right?
100%.
So then on the other end of the spectrum, you have the red pill. And that's essentially, I mean, it's kind of intertwined with these ideas of misogyny as well, but kind of like this, it's basically the binary opposite to simping. It's the guy that's going to tell you, hey, you need to pay for this meal. You're lucky that I came on this date with you. Like, it's the guy that's just like, if we're not having sex tonight, what's the point of us going out? So I guess like in that case, with that in mind, have you ever experienced, witnessed, or went through a red pill moment? And do you think it has its part? Like, is there, for men, do you think there has to be like a fine balance between the simp and the red pill? Or is it just unique on each basis depending on the person?
I mean, I think you need to be in the middle. I think the middle is the perfect place to be. Like, because when I think back to my dating days, there was if a girl, like, I remember like I had a girl call me, and this was after I already kind of give in and like try to make her happy and do all this stuff, go out of my way, and she asked me to do something, and I was like, so, and I was trying to like see what the outcome of me doing what the issue the request was, and I realized it was not gonna like really lead to anything. I was like, okay, I'm actually busy. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that. I had to like, because eventually you have to like kind of stand up for yourself. You can't just be this person like they know they can reach out to, and they will get what they want from you. Then after they're done with you, then they leave you and go do what they're trying to do, like get the guy they actually fucking. Sorry, like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or the guy that actually they connect with on that level, and you just the option on the side.
You're just a meal voucher.
Yeah, just like you have to just learn how to play both sides. I mean, obviously when I was single, I was struggling to play both of that, but that's something I would say, I would definitely look back at and change a little bit.
Would you say that's red pilling, or is that just upholding certain boundaries or standards? Like, I think the idea of red pilling could kind of take it a little bit more to the extreme, but I guess let's hear another person's opinion on that though.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to me, if I'm looking at it as like a spectrum, right? There's simp on one end and there's red pill on the other end. I personally think I'd like to be closer to the simp side than the red pill side. I really don't think that men, I'm only gonna speak to men, right? So I'm not gonna like tell a woman what she should do or whatever. But as far as men are concerned, like I don't think you should be going on a date with someone with the expectation of having sex with them, right? Like I don't believe that that's something you should be doing, right? So to me, sex is one of those things, right, where at the start of the night, maybe the woman could be saying like, hey, I want to have sex with you, but up until it's about time for it to go down, if she changes her mind, right? Like it's just nothing, so to me, you shouldn't be going into anything with you shouldn't be like holding it's that's a really weird like fake that's one of those things. Maybe we'll talk about it more, but you're a really weird person if you're like, I'm gonna pay for this $200 meal and like we gonna have sex because I paid for this meal. Like that's such a weird idea, right? It's such a weird concept to think that because just like why didn't you get a prostitute, right? Like why didn't you just why didn't you just like deal with a professional someone who's in the adult industry, right? Who who you can exchange money for sex with, right? So to me, that you should never be going into anything.
I mean,
no
panty droppers.
No
panty droppers.
I just don't think that a lot of those red pill things that you mentioned just all seem to be super problematic.
I think it's more so like insecurity for someone to do that, right? So I have to establish dominance with you. You have to be submissive to me so I can feel some type of power, because I don't feel power anywhere else besides over you. And I totally agree with Dre. Like, I don't know. I think you have to walk that fine line, and I don't limit it to genders, right? Non-binary, everything. You have your you have your strong role and your supportive role, and they go back and forth depending on the situation, depending on who you are. That night, I need to be the strong person. My wife needs to be the strong person, and finding that equal balance, it's where it's at, right? Sometimes like people want to see like, do you have a boundary? And once your boundary is established, can you uphold it? If you can uphold it with me, you can uphold it with people out there, right? And that's that weird testing, but that's that security thing, right? So it's just like, if I know something bad happens, I know you're there for me through these multiple examples of how you have proven yourself. And I think that's just a human being type of trait, right? So it's good and it's bad, but there's no reason to be like Dre is saying, like overbearing. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Like I play football. That's when I'm overbearing. That's when I have the power and control, and I have leadership roles. That's when I have to manage too, right? But when it comes down to a marriage, that's not where that's at. It's consistent learning and growth. So and dating too. Like, you're learning about this other person. If you don't want to learn about the other person, my thing is just be honest. Like, yo, I'm just trying to fuck, and then that's it.
That's the point.
Don't lead people on. That's just kind of this horrible.
Like the blue gnomes in front of Francis'
house. Yo, shut up, man. Shut up. Like, okay, I do have a comment though, because I think there's a phase of life. So like when I was single, until I met my wife, I was in the phase where I was just like going out with the boys, and every night we were just trying to like see what's up, so that's where we were at. Like, so, and when I meet a girl at the club and we get the numbers and we go out the next night or how many days later, it's like with the idea of I was really just trying to see what's good. Like, where are we going with this? Like, I wasn't thinking of dating you, or, I mean, if it could like lead to that, but like, that's kind of where my mindset was. I was just trying to have fun and learn, figure myself out at that moment too, Yeah,
I'll direct this next one then. Well, how much of us, or how many men don't red pill simply because they're not in a position to red pill? Like, if you think about it, a lot of these examples of men that are considered red pills are usually affluent, wealthy, men that just get a lot of play and flex, to where it's not even considered red pilling at that point. It's just, I have the pick of the litter. Like, I don't have to really subject myself to anyone. So I think that kind of tears into the whole thing we like to call the Kevin Samuels effect, the whole high value man, high value woman.
Mm-hmm.
Let this D Black take this one. What's your take on that? How many men don't do it because simply they're not in a position to do it?
That's a really good question. I think, yeah. So relating back to the whole Kevin Samuels thing, and I don't know how many people follow him. This is not free advertisement for him. So if he wants us to promote him, he got to pay for that. But just kind of resonating to that whole high value man kind of mindset, like you carry yourself on such a high pedestal and you've been so established that, you know, like you have to pick a litter. So you basically red pilling all day. The only thing with, I don't know. So when it comes to the Kevin Samuels situation and just that high value situation, yeah, you kind of establish yourself. So you do feel like you have like a hierarchy in men. Like, unfortunately, as men, we do have unwritten hierarchy. We do somewhat use affluence and, you know, like status and rate ourselves, I should say. And we use affluent to rate ourselves. And within the men community, I should say, like if you are affluent and you are highly rated and you are air quote high value, you can like, oh, I have supermodels I can date, or I'm not gonna mess with that chick with Jenny from the Bronx. Like, you feel like you can turn down certain chicks, and then so basically you are living that red pill life. But then there are some people who just don't, you know, there's dudes in the hood that don't care. Like, they ain't got nothing. They ain't making no money. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't about nothing. But they still living that red pill life, like, you know, F these hoes and, you know, having no respect for women and this, that. I think it really just comes down to the mindset. When you are at a certain status, I do think that it feels terrible to say, because I don't want to say, make it seem like it's just money that makes a difference, or what you've accomplished in life that makes a difference on how you relate with women. But
culture as well,
or yeah, your culture as well. But I feel like it does have some impact on how you perceive yourself, and that's really what it kind of comes down to. Because, you know, as men, like we kind of reflect inwards, if that makes sense. So depending on what we have around us and what we've established for ourselves and what we've done for ourselves, we kind of use that to now reflect back inside to say like, oh, we're at this level. I'm making this much money, so now I can talk to supermodels. I'm driving this type of car, so I can talk to these type of girls. You know, Jenny from the block, you better go back to the block. You know, you're not on my level. You know, so I don't know. So for me, I just feel like it's always going to be like it's a tough challenge to kind of balance that. I do want to say something different though, because when it comes to me personally, it's funny because simping, red pilling, they're so extreme. And I've always, like, I don't know, I've always been like the nice guy. That's just who I've always been. I get clowned on it a lot for being a nice guy. But, you know, being a nice guy, as my cousin said, you know, you do always fall short and you get played a lot, or you always get, you know, last picked or whatever. I'm not saying I'm like the last pick dude, but you're not always like girls don't feel like they're flocking towards you. And if you red pilling, then you like, it gets perceived as like you disrespect the women, you have no value at the end of the day. But I think the main thing for me, not all this middle of the road stuff, but it's really just be true to yourself and be honest with yourself on who you want and who you want to be. Because at the end of the day, this sounds really crazy, but really think about it. Anything you do in life, you're really doing it for yourself. Is what that's it. Because even when you do something for your wife or your significant other or your family member, yeah, you're making them happy, but in return, they're doing it. Their happiness makes you happy, you know? So you're gaining from them. You're vicariously gaining from their happiness. So you're actually everything. We're selfish creatures. We do everything for ourselves. So everything.
I mean, I don't know, because they're like, I agree to an extent, right? So some things may not benefit you, but you do it because it's the right thing to do, right? You do it because in your heart you know it's right. It's not in a sense like, oh well, let's say I volunteer my time. Someone volunteered their time for me. I'm just going to return that back into the world to reflect on somebody else, right? I completely get what you're saying, but I just want to add that caveat in there. Yeah, you make your wife happy, happy wife, happy life, right? And that's the truth. But you're spending you're spending you're spending the most amount of time with them, right? And it's only helpful for them to be happy around you. That's the person that you're supposed to confide in, you're supposed to talk to about your problems. And then if they're not happy, then it's just like you're not going to have a good time, because you're going to have to deal with that consistently.
Mhm.
And that's the way I look at it. Like, you can take that statement however the fuck you want to take that statement, but real people know like how you're supposed to manage your business, right? And you always have to respect a human being, no matter who they are, no matter what your status is. Everyone has something to offer, even if you're like the bottom pick of the litter, right? You guys can help me out with any basketball player that wasn't a top draft pick. Some basketball players carry the team as a bottom pick, and they were just looked over. I mean, they were very humble, they were very understanding, but those are the people that add value, right? If I know I'm hot shit, I walk into a situation, I don't have that high level of awareness to realize what I need to do because I've been doing something this way for the longest. But if I'm a humble person, if I have a lot of awareness, then I make those consistent adjustments to make things better. All right, this is the lane I have to swim in today. Doesn't mean it's my permanent lane, but this is where I have to be for the moment to make something else better. This is my part in the relay race. It makes it better. And that's that emotional intelligence I was talking about before, and that growth, right? It's all about evolution as you go through life, in a relationship, in a marriage, or in whatever you do, right? So yeah, at some points we are selfish people, but there are other points that people just have a good heart and they just do it like, hey, I'm gonna lose out on this time, I'll never get back, but fuck it, it just made someone's life better, and that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, so I definitely gotta come clean. Kevin Samuels to me is one of the funniest people on social media to me. Like, it's one of those, like, you could call it a guilty pleasure, problematic fave, whatever. Like, he is hilarious to me. The thing that so I know he does a lot of he does there's a lot of stuff that he does wrong. I'll just say that right before everyone kills me. Don't cancel me, because I think he's very funny. But the thing that I find interesting about his messaging, he actually is, I know that a lot of the clips that go viral are when he's talking kind of spicy to women, but he also does he does do he does kind of give men a similar talk or whatever. He'll ask a man like, how much money do you make? He asks him, do you have a big dick? Right? Like, it's like a very funny like thing that he goes through when he's talking to men. But the whole like high value whatever, the thing that I think I agree with him on. So again, let me explain before you turn off the podcast.
It's getting dangerous
anyone
now.
who hates him. But my whole thing is like, I think how I understand, and I could be totally wrong, so someone correct me if I'm wrong, but my whole thing is, I think what he's saying is that I believe he's some type of consultant where he, consults high value men, quote unquote.
Like an image consultant.
Yeah. type of thing, right? So, I think if you're not dating someone, you should be able to say what you want in a partner, right? I think this goes for men or women, but we'll just talk about men, right? Because that's who we are, right? But so I think it's okay if a man says like, I want a woman who has these type of physical appearances, a woman who's went to college, a woman who doesn't have any children. Again, I don't agree with that personally, but I think if you're dating, you should be able to set the parameters for whatever you're looking to attract, right? It's no different when you're looking for a job or any other thing, right? If you're looking for a new car, right? You want a car that has a certain amount of horsepower, right? You want it to have leather seats. Like, to me, I don't think it's any different per se. I do think I don't want to say that dating is like buying a car. So again, don't kill me. But to me, right? Why can't people set a standard for what they're looking to attract? And I think everyone should be setting a standard for what they should attract, men and women, right? You should be, whether you want to classify it as high, what do they say, high value? I think high value is
man.
the thing that they they term it as. That's obviously in some ways a problematic like phrase or whatever, but my whole thing is like, right, if you're not dating someone, you should be able to set the the criteria for someone you want to eventually spend your life with and maybe have children with. Like, to me, I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I do think it's wrong when he's like, telling a woman that she's not attractive. Like, that's foul or whatever.
He's funny.
But the again, what I'm hearing when he's saying, that's what I'm gathering from the conversations, right? He's like, I'm a consultant to all these men. This is what they're telling me that they want, right? And those people are going on the show, right? He's not making them go on the show. They're going on there, whatever. But he's definitely one of my like guilty pleasures. And when I'm looking at it in the lens of, you should have an idea of who you want to marry, right, and have children with. These are really big life decisions, right? You can't just be marrying someone who doesn't have certain criteria you're not on the same page with, right? So that guy's hilarious to me.
So I guess at what point does certain standards, I think the idea or the fear that most people have, especially when they feel like they're not in that pool where they're desired, is that basically we're now creating these standards that are just way too high for people to actually live up to. And then in that turn, creating a sense of shallowness and as far as what we feel like is the ideal partner. Or a lot of the cases we get with Black men in particular, being a brother, is that we're now diverging from the construct of the Black family. God forbid we were to date someone outside of our race. And it's kind of like, at what point are our standards considered just shallowness or creating this, I guess, made up person that doesn't really exist as an excuse to continue, I guess, maybe slaying everything left and right?
My whole thing, I'll let someone else get to it, but just my whole thing with that is just like, I wouldn't want to be with someone who's like he has to make X amount of dollars, right? To me, if that's like the big criteria to you, then maybe I'm not the person, right? Like I wouldn't want to be with someone. So I guess I don't look at it as like, because people are setting this higher standard, that I'm not going to fit it and I'm not going to find someone. Like, I don't know if I agree with that personally. But to me, I wouldn't want to be with a person who's quote unquote shallow, right? Like, I wouldn't want to be with someone who puts those type of, who cares more about maybe how much money I make over if I'm going to treat them well. Right? Like,
so let's put it this way. If every woman believed that a man had to be packing 9 inches or more before he could be marriage material, like, there'd be a lot of single dudes out there. Let's be real.
And I do think stereotypes work for our advantage way more than they work for women, to be honest with you, right? For a man, you could be fat, you could be, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like stereotypical things that like we get the benefit of in dating, just in traditional male men-women relationships, right? Where, if you make money, right, like that normally kind of get you in a lot of places, whereas maybe for a woman, right, sometimes the appearance may not get you in certain ways. So I think in some ways we have it a little bit easier when it comes to that. I don't know.
Any other takes on that?
So I look at it this way. So you talked about like being shallow or going the distance, right? So some people just want a 100-meter dash, just do what they want to do, right? And others want to go the distance, and they split those categories like, all right, this is who I need or want in my life as an individual, personality wise, right? This is the person that's going to carry me through. So if you want to say things left and right, that's your prerogative. But yeah, don't lie to yourself and say like, oh, well, I'm looking for this type of man, woman, or non-binary person. Be realistic. Some people just aren't honest with themselves, right? Then they put it out there like, oh, this is the person that I'm looking for, but you're really not looking for that person, right? You're really comfortable with who you are and the things that you're doing. And if that's the case, it's okay. There's a section in society for you, and be who you are. But that's when it gets other people trapped up, right? What Dre was saying, like, oh, you have to make X amount of dollars. Well, I make X amount of dollars, but you're not telling me that that's all you're concerned about. So I'm being the person that I am. I'm getting sucked into your world of you not being transparent or straightforward with me. So you fuck up 6 months of my life because I'm thinking like, oh, well, the person that I'm trying to date, you have those qualities, but you're putting on this facade of a person you're not actually are, right? That's what I said. Just be who you are up front. It makes it easier because you end up damaging people at the end of the day, which is super fucked up. Because if I put this much time into you and you really didn't care, and you tell me like at the 9th month, like, yo, I was just fucking you because you make X amount of dollars. It's like, yo, like I took you out to see my family. I did all these things for you, and you were basically just leading me on. So my thing is just don't do that to people. If you're gonna do your thing, do your thing. Like live your life, however you want to do it, but just be transparent with that person that you're putting it through. Because that person doesn't see it your way, you're gonna really make some true damage to someone, and then they're gonna end up dating the next person with a damaged mindset and treat them or mistreat them, and that could be the perfect person for them that they're dating in that next phase. But that's just my take on it.
But let's ask this.
Shallow.
My bad. And I think that's a really good point though, because just when people like attract gentlemen, like if you're a gentleman and now you're feeling like, oh, I'm a simp, and if I like open the door and I'm paying the bill, there's girls who are interested in gentlemen. And just because you're like dating this girl and she's not really, or you're talking to some chick and she's not really interested in you because you are a gentleman, if she likes an asshole, then let her go for the assholes. Don't be untrue to yourself because you want, this specific individual to like you. And then now you try to pretend to be something that you're not, and it doesn't work out because now you're unhappy pretending to be something that you're not. So I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a comment quick. I mean, for me, I feel like opening doors and doing some of the basic things that men do does not fall into that. I feel like those are excluded because every man should do that, even if you're, I guess from my personal view, I think the extra things that are like you going out of your ways and stuff like that, I feel like that's when you start getting to that realm of snipping. That's kind of what I think. And as far as being yourself as well, in relationship, people change over time. So like, I think it's really important because I mean, we're going to get into the relationship roles and stuff like that. You may be this person today. You also become somebody different. You may be somebody different, like 2 years or a year later. So it's like, that person you with just have to kind of like, you have to be in a loving relationship and fully have those conversations, I think.
Well, when a person isn't what you want them to be to start, how is it possible to then say that I'm going to grow to love this person when they aren't even ticking the boxes at the beginning of the relationship? Like, is that idea of learning to love someone real? Like, I feel like if you're in the beginning, they're not hitting those boxes, you're not going to really want to welcome the chance of that even going to the next level, no?
I mean, everyone has the ability to change, right? So they may not be that person up front, but you can talk to them over time. Like that's a facade that they're putting on. You end up breaking through those barriers or peeling back those onions, and they're really a nice person. So I think, I wouldn't take that initially on face value. I would give it some time, right? And
how much time do you give a person?
I was gonna say that time is like super subjective. So I feel you. Like I'm not saying like, oh well, it's a standard 6 to 9 months. Like I honestly don't know. Every person's different. So like my opinion, whatever you feel is right for you as an individual. If it's 2 weeks and they're not changing, then yeah, move on. If it's 8 months and they're not changing, move on. That's subjective, honestly.
Yeah, and I think I think everyone in their head probably has like a list of things, right, that they're looking for in someone, right? And I think you need to be really honest with yourself to understand what on that list are things that like if they don't have it day one, then it's probably not going to work out. Like if it's someone who, let's just say, if you know that you can't be faithful, right? If you know that you're just like, look, we could be in a relationship, but I'm not going to be faithful to you. I'm going to sleep with other women, right? Like if hopefully you're that, if you know that you're that type of person, you're honest with whoever you're dating, right? And it's on that person to be like, look, I'm going to be okay with that, right? Or maybe he'll change over time, but maybe he's not, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think there has to be those, there's probably certain things that are on that list of things that maybe you can kind of like get, that maybe they can grow to have, right? Maybe if it's, what if, let's just say a woman wants a man to cook, right? Maybe he doesn't know how to cook, right? But maybe over time he can learn how to cook and whatever. But if it's something else, you know what I mean? I guess you just have to like understand what those non-negotiables are. But I think it is really smart to have somewhat of a list of things that are really important for you to have before you even kind of get
into that relationship. Yeah.
I don't agree with the waiting for the person to change thing, because that's
no
I think that's where people get messed up.
Yeah,
No one's
agree.
going to be
Hold on, you
perfect day
get what you
one.
want.
No one's going to be perfect day one. I'll say that. But there are some things that I think you should be on the same page on before. But
Do you have a job?
I mean, but
okay,
like,
wait.
Nah.
The job thing. The
What do
job
you
thing.
mean,
Okay, the
nah?
job. Hold on. The job thing is with the job thing, right? I guess the way I could look at it is, are you someone who wants to work, right? Because anyone, especially with COVID stuff now, people could lose their job, right? So to me, not having a job doesn't necessarily indicate if you're a valuable person. But if you someone who doesn't have a job and you don't have a job because you don't want to work, that's a different thing, right?
All right, let's be real. How many men can get away with saying, I ain't got a job, but yeah, let's go on this date. Let's kick it.
Not
Some men who do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
There's
men that
some
get away with it, but
how many women are gonna really sit there and say, oh yeah, you got no job right now, but
I mean, but you're knocking like an important thing, like what Dre's saying. Like, all right, well, I left one job to get another one, right? And I'm actively searching for a job. So I get knocked out the box for trying to apply to different jobs because I want to work. I just had to leave my job for whatever reason. Insert here. And you're saying like you don't want to date me because right now I don't have a job. Not
No,
that
I
don't have
think
to work
I think I think it's it's different though. If you had a good job prior, then you lost it, then I think she knows you will probably eventually get
but
another
how
job.
many people are gonna really sit there and want to hear that? Like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that's part of the
it's-
conversation you have in the date though, right?
Right.
Like
Well, that's what
I used to
we're
do
Yeah,
I used to do this. Now I'm not doing this anymore. I left the job like a week ago or whatever. I'm actively looking to get a new job. I mean, I would think if she doesn't understand that, then you shouldn't even be in a date. You got to get up and leave.
that's where it comes
But
down to being honest with yourself. But that's where it
Yeah.
comes down to being honest with yourself, because I feel like in those situations, like, oh, he's really attractive, or he doesn't have a job, or she's really attractive and she really ain't trying to do nothing. I'll talk from the man's perspective, but she really attractive. She ain't got no ambitions. She ain't trying to do nothing with herself. She just wants to sit here, but damn, she fly. I guess I could stick it out.
Yeah.
But it bothers you, and then after a while, it's like then the truth comes out, because then you get over that physical attraction and all that, that immediate connection that satisfaction you got, and I was like, damn, I really wish, that she had something going on with herself. You know what I mean? So like, keep it real with yourself. If it bothers you, it bothers you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think that part of society is that we front up front. Well, we front initially, and we try to say like, yeah, that's cool. I think I can make it work. That's cool. I think I can make that work. Oh, damn, he fly, or damn, she throw it down, and then we just try to stick it out when we know the big ticket issues. We just kind of push it under the rug because we get that immediate gratification of the person's attractive, or the person, is great in the sack, or whatever be the case.
Potato sack.
Rubber waistline.
rubber band waistline man.
Waistline man. I guess my take is
He
like,
told me he's a rubber waistband man.
exactly. No, he's Jamaican. So my take on it is just basically like, considering today's climate and everything, I feel like there are some things that men cannot get away with, essentially, when it comes to the dating game and the relationship and the roles. Like, that expectation is like, if your daughter, let's say you had a daughter, she's grown up and she brought home a guy that's not working. I think when you take a look at it from your perspective as a father, you're going to look at it as, well, make sure your man is working, make sure he can provide. Things like, yes, that is going to be important. We're not going to front like that's not going to be important to know that he's in a position to provide for this person and for his family.
She got to learn, right? It's
learn
tough.
What?
So hear me out, right? And hear me out on this. And you can disagree, and I love the fact that you do, because it makes for a better conversation, right? I don't take away from what you're saying, but it's just like I can't protect my daughter from everything. If she dates a man doesn't have a job, then she gets insight from that. Whether she gets hurt or not, like, I don't know. She makes that decision, that choice. Because I'm not going to be that dad, like, oh no, don't bring him in my fucking house if he doesn't have a job. I don't know his potential. I don't know who he is. She has to travel on that journey. She has to learn that. So when she finds a man with a job, she values him that much more, right? And that's just the experience take about life. I can't see myself being that harsh. Well, I feel some type of way, yeah, but those are my opinions. And if my daughter goes out and dates someone that doesn't have a job, everything that I taught her, she either is going to utilize or not, and that's not my choice. So I know and I feel as though that she is utilizing it, and there's something deeper in there that I'm not seeing on the surface. So I'm not going to make that judgment day one, right? I mean, if it's like year two, he doesn't have a job, then yeah, I'm gonna pipe up and say something. But if it's first date or first couple of months, then it's just like, all right, where is this going? What are you doing? Like, what's happening? What is her insight on it? Right? Then that's just my take.
Sure, I want to see the guy that's brave enough to go to Chunky's house. That's what I want. Because I already know it sounds good right now, but I'm thinking, all right, a couple years from now, it's gonna be like,
you'll be the first, man that I call. I'm gonna have you come over and I'm gonna have you sit there.
It's gonna be
like a Bad Boy too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a scene from Bad Boys. It's gonna be the
because with Glenn, it's not gonna be a scene from Bad Boys.
Yeah,
from that man
from
mentally.
the.
You got a job? What do you do? Hey, I'm going to give you this math problem. Can you solve it? So, you know, the astral projection of physics, right? So we're going to break this down 10 years from now. Where do you stand on that? And the dude's going to be all types of fucked up. And that's why I'll enjoy having him there.
No, D Black just going to have his shirt off. He just going to be standing there just,
you know, ashy and full ash armor.
Toes.
Oh, you gotta drop it.
You're gonna beat her in the green jello, just standing there.
Yo, you gotta drop the ash comments.
I'm so like well lubricated and lotion. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
Okay.
My man, good. You got a greasy forehead. He actually doesn't, but
oh my god,
he good.
but it's also funny. So like, I think it's interesting though because it kind of relates back to what I was saying. Like, so as men, we rate ourselves based on our affluence, what we have. So it's funny because like we keep talking about, does he have a job? 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 And that's how we rate other men, you know, whether they're, you know, accruing wealth or they have the ability to accrue wealth and status. And it's just interesting because in the sense of like the overall arching theme of everything we've been talking about, you know, the traditional gender rules of a man must be a provider. And it's funny because as a father, not a father, but as like from the father's perspective, you're looking at it like, you know, I want another man who can provide for, you know, my child. That's the reason why we're assessing this other young man, because we want to assess his affluence because of his ability to provide for, you know, our child. But she could provide for herself. This is 2021. You know, female Obama, you know, Kamala Harris, like the narrative has changed. So even if he doesn't have a job and maybe he's a stay-at-home dad, now we over here taking shots at, we low-key taking shots at stay-at-home dads. Like if you're a stay-at-home dad, you like stepping up, you providing, you doing everything you need to do, and your wife's out there making the bread, does that make you any less of a man?
No.
Does that I think Glenn was talking about like I think he was talking about like before your stay-at-home dad.
But
then what if he's and then that's what I'm saying. But okay, if he comes off as a well-natured person, he's very like attentive and attention to detail, and then you mean in Chunky's situation, you know, his daughter wants to become, you know, a tech billionaire or whatever, you know,
goddamn right.
Why wouldn't it work?
That's hold on 1 second. My thing is like this. Independent people don't want dependence. You know what I mean? Like an independent woman is going to seek a man, in my opinion, that also is striving for his independence in the same vein. So if you're someone, when I say off the bat, like, okay, having a job, the reason why I would scale that as important is because I get it. Like in college, you may not have a job, you be dating, you're talking. We're in a setting though. We're in the same environment of higher learning. We're trying to get to that level. And if you want to work, that's on you, but you're still doing something. You know what I mean? If we're out of college now, you're on your own and you still ain't working, something's wrong. Because to me, it's like, if you, and that's where I'm keeping it real, because we're kind of fluffing it up to say like, yeah, you should make a pass because blah, 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 blah. But let's be real. Like if you could prioritize dating over finding work, something's wrong to me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But to be
Like a
funny,
man with
this is where
aspirations.
the jerk part of the podcast is coming through with the Jamaican having 15 jobs. So the Glenn hearing someone not having a job, you can tell
yeah.
I got
burns his
What do you
boils
mean?
his
I'm up
blood.
at 5. I come home
He's
at
a
11.
waste man.
I work 8
Yo,
hours already.
You got this waste man up in my house? Are you serious?
Hey man.
Like, because I mean, everybody
Waste man
comes
make
across
Or
as
is waste
good
man something
natures.
else?
A waste man is just a man that's just doing nothing with his life.
He's a waste.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not a
thought
rubber
it was-
waste man.
Not rubber
A
waste man.
Not rubber
but
waste man.
a waste of a man.
WASTE waste.
So I mean, to add to my cousin, I do think if the woman is already at the state of where she is open to that kind of a relationship, then it is what it is. If she's open and okay with that, because I mean, if we're talking about relationship gender roles, I think it really, we can't really have this overarching statement that the man has to provide and be the breadwinner, because I'm like you said, it's 2020, it's 2021. So it's like, I mean, women are holding higher position. They have goals as much as we do. They're grinding out here. So if she's okay with that, and that may change. And that kind of goes back to my statement earlier about like a couple of years from down the line, if they do get in a relationship or get married, that position might actually change. And where is the breadwinner and she stays on. So like, so it's really about like making what works for your relationship work, and not look at the external pressure and the gender roles that is being put on us, and make whatever works for you work and leave it at that.
All right, y'all, you've heard it from us. Give us your take. Be sure to stay on the lookout for that post-podcast discussion question. And also you can follow us at JJC Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Stay tuned for the outro to learn how you can get your Black business featured on our show and other ways you can reach out to us directly. Until then, peace.
Peace. Buy a blue gnome.
Look out for the.
And that concludes today's episode, but that doesn't mean the conversation has to end. As a matter of fact, check us out on Instagram or Twitter at JJC Podcast for our post-discussion question. If you're a Black business owner and like to be featured on the show, shoot us an email at jjcpod@gmail.com. Additional details in the description field below. As always, likes, comments, and shares are humbly appreciated. Subscribe to be notified when our next episode releases. But until then, stay blessed. Peace.